My roommate's rich friends thought I was the maid, until they discovered my name was on the deed. My roommate Serena pulled me aside that morning to warn me about her wealthy friends visiting. She said they thought anyone without money was basically worthless, and she wanted to prepare me for their attitude. I appreciated the warning and told her not to stress. She had no idea I owned our penthouse, or that my family's money could buy their entire neighborhood. Serena's friends arrived around 11, and I was in the kitchen on the phone with my mom speaking Spanish when they walked in. The first woman stopped mid-sentence when she saw me in my old college t-shirt and sweats, looking me up and down like she was staring at trash. She looked at Serena and asked, "Did your Venezuelan come with the apartment, or did you find her yourself?" Serena's eyes went wide, but before she could speak, the woman cut her off by handing me her empty coffee cup while I was still mid-conversation with my mother. "They really should know not to use the phone during work hours," she said to Serena, who just stood there frozen while her friends agreed. I hung up on my mom and set the cup down, watching the women settle into the living room. One of them looked at my face and told the group I had that indigenous look, which meant I was probably from one of those small villages. She explained how those girls always had multiple kids by different men, never finished school, ended up cleaning houses just like their mothers. Another woman jumped in with a story about her housekeeper who had 6 kids and no husband, and they all nodded knowingly while Serena sat silently on the couch, her face getting redder as they continued building my entire life story from their assumptions. While I stood there making myself tea, one woman said I could be pretty if I learned to do something with myself, but Venezuelan women aged so badly anyway. Another mentioned she'd seen them, buying nothing but rice and plantains with food stamps. No wonder they all had diabetes. They started talking about how we apparently only came here to take advantage of the system, probably lied about fleeing socialism just for free benefits, and I gripped my mug tighter when one suggested that's probably why I was working as help so young. They continued saying that Serena could find much better help, maybe someone from Europe who wouldn't steal or bring gang member boyfriends around. She looked straight at me and said these refugees were destroying property values, that she could smell the poverty and failure on me, that stench of cooking oil and desperation that never washed off. Serena finally spoke up when one of them spilled red wine on my grandmother's antique rug from Caracas. The woman pointed at the stain and snapped her fingers at me like I was a dog, and when I didn't jump immediately, she told the others I was probably too stupid to understand. "She's not the maid," Serena said firmly, but they just laughed and told her she didn't need to be polite about the help. Another woman said at least I wasn't selling myself on the street like so many Venezuelan girls, though who knew what I did on weekends for extra cash. They went on discussing how girls like me probably stole from employers, sent everything back to Venezuela, lied about having papers. I tried to ignore them and walked to the bookshelf to grab my novel and read in my room, but one woman actually clutched her purse tighter, warning Serena that Venezuelans trained their kids to steal from an early age. Another mentioned that ICE had been doing raids, and Serena should really check my documentation before she got in trouble for harboring illegals. She actually suggested calling someone to have me removed if I didn't have proper documentation. "At least I'm not fucking my husband's friends for Hermes bags," I wanted to yell, but instead I stayed silent, because that's when my phone rang. "Ms. Perez, we need your signature as penthouse owner for the renovation approval." I put it on speaker and watched their faces change. The woman who'd called me stupid froze with her wine glass halfway to her mouth. The one holding her purse dropped it completely, makeup rolling everywhere. Serena's face went from confused to shocked to horrified as she realized my last name matched the one on her lease. "Wait, why is he calling you?" Serena could barely get the words out. "Because I own the penthouse. Your rent goes to my account." The chaos was immediate and pathetic. Serena started crying and apologizing while her friends scrambled for excuses. One of them claimed she'd known something was different about me, while others suddenly remembered urgent appointments. One asked about my inspiring story, and another said she'd always respected Venezuelan culture. Serena kept saying she tried to tell them, but I just looked at my grandfather's photo on the mantle and suggested they all leave. Serena moved out 3 days later, and I learned to be much more careful about who I invited into my home.